Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast. Believe it or not, boys and girls, episode 41. We are just a part of the Podcast Playground Network.
Awesome. Episode 41. Wow.
And review. If you like this podcast, people, please review it. Please give us a 5-star review. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Do that for us, and we salute you, our listeners.
So we salute you. What are you, like the USO or something like that?
I don't know. I'm just in a saluting mood.
I hear you. That's cool.
Maybe because we're actually recording this podcast at a different time of the day.
Normally we do record on Monday mornings. This is still, as we record this, it's still Monday, but it's 7 p.m. Eastern time here. So yes.
Yeah, we're just about an hour away from seeing if my prediction for the NBA Finals will come to pass. I said I wanted, this is what I said, I wanted the Heat to win. I hoped that the Heat would win. But my prediction was that Denver would take it in 5. And if they do it tonight, my prediction, well, when you're listening to this podcast on Wednesday, you'll know if I'm a great sports
prognosticator.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
Good word. Yeah, use the big words. Sports prognosticator.
You'll find out. I don't know. Just it seems like in the last couple of years, I've really got into sports, and I think because the news is just so screwed up these days.
Yes.
I used to watch a lot of news. Now I've switched my news watching to sports watching. And I'm going, man, if I was younger, I would like to work for a sports talk station.
When I was in college, which, as we know, was when dinosaurs ruled the earth. When I was in college, my thinking as far as a career path was going to be either like a media relations guy for like a team, or like a sports information director for a college or a university. Like that's a real job, sports information director. And I thought that would be cool. And then I discovered broadcasting, and well, it was downhill from there. So, it was 40 years of goofing around on the radio, because that was a lot easier than actually going to an office and work. Oh, so much easier. So, I remember that was like my sophomore year of college, when I'm like, you mean you can get paid to sit in this little room and talk to people? Yep, you can.
And,
oh, wow.
Basically, just bullshit. That's all you got to know how to do.
just BS people for 4-6 hours, whatever, whenever. Yeah, sometimes you got to get up early in the morning. BJ and Bill got up early in the morning for a lot of years, but it was okay. It was fine. It was good. Anyway,
I talked to my son, and he's normally up like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Is he really?
And I go, why are you doing that? You don't have to do a morning show. That's just the time his body wakes him up.
As I recall, now tell me, did you get in hot water? Because he called us as we were literally recording the podcast last week, and you picked it up and tried to put him on the podcast. And I remember he hung up on you. Did you get in trouble for that?
I think he hung up because he knew we were doing the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Because I called him after the podcast, and I go, hey, you could have talked on the podcast. He goes, I just.
Yeah.
So he didn't seem to be PO'd at all.
Oh, okay, good. Maybe we should just have him as a guest even for 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe we could have the boss of the Podcast Playground on as a guest.
Yeah, because actually Jay, and I don't have it up, and I don't know where it is, but the guy who basically takes care of our podcast after it leaves us.
Yes.
He was telling me, because, a few episodes ago, we were talking about being on the Podcast Playground Network.
Right.
And, we were saying, we're like one of 13 or whatever. I think there's 21 podcasts on the podcast network.
Wow. We're like an empire.
And then he says he's working on a couple new contracts. So a couple new podcasts are going to come on board.
Fantastic. I mean,
So,
that's
the
great.
network
Good for him.
is growing.
I mean, good for us. Good for all of us.
But we
Rising
are the
tide
senior
will-
anchors.
We are the flagship podcast of the podcast playground. Don't let anybody tell you
No,
otherwise.
I don't know about you. I'm saying we're the senior.
What?
And I'm not saying we're the flagship, but we are the.
Because if you add up our ages, it's like 130 or something like that.
I would say if you talk to him, he would say the flagship podcast was, backstage with Gentry Thomas,
Yes, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
or the Outcast podcast, which now also has a YouTube channel, and they get controversial. We don't do that here. So they
Really?
get hate mail, and they've actually went viral a couple times.
Wow. What is it? It's the Outcast?
Yeah, the Outcast
podcast. I'm gonna have to listen for that. I will admit that I am not up to speed on all the podcasts on our podcast playground network. So now you have me kind of curious. That's cool.
And of course, he also
Good
is
for them.
part of the Vinyl Boys.
The what? Oh, Vinyl
The
Boys.
Vinyl Boys, where
Yeah,
once
yeah,
a week
they
they
play-
take an album and
Play
they
real
kinda-
records.
Yeah,
Play
it
real
is. They actually use records. They put the needle
Uh-huh.
down, and as it starts to play, they start talking about different things about the album, things that maybe happened while they were recording the album, kind of a
Right.
history of the album. And,
Cool.
it's a pretty cool little podcast too.
Awesome. Boy. And then there's BJ and Bill. And all
Yeah.
we do is just two old men rambling about who knows what.
But he also has the big podcast.
Well, sort of. You're talking about Shaq's podcast?
Yeah, it's over on his network now.
The big podcast with Shaq is on the podcast playground. Are you? Well, it's on the network, but we don't.
No.
own
It's on the network now,
Okay.
because the place where it was, it left.
Really?
Yes. Because I
That's-
guess, I don't know, things went down over.
Right.
I
right,
don't
right.
know what happened.
That,
I
but I
don't
mean,
know all
if we are really putting it out there, that's a big, fat, hairy deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Joe Rogan is not yet on the podcast.
No, Joe,
playground.
no, we're not.
He's
Joe's
not on the
losing-
network anyway.
Joe is not losing any sleep over BJ and Bill's podcast, but he should be. He should be. He should be.
Now, I'll tell you another cool podcast that is on the Podcast Playground Network.
Yes.
That is, remember Zito from Zito and Garrett?
Yes,
they were
I-
in Fort Myers for a long
I
time.
remember
He's
the
now-
name. Yeah.
Yeah, he's now in Tampa Bay at the Shark,
Okay.
but he does a podcast called, I just listened to it today because he had the girl from Everybody Loves Raymond, Eaton.
Deborah Eaton. Yeah.
Her name was Deborah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
Well,
know who you're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
And it's called the Celebrity Podcast, I believe. And he talks to celebrities, but what they do, they also talk about what they might have been doing and how they got their big break,
Right.
and what they might be doing today
If they weren't.
if they weren't famous. And
BJ
that's-
Odom would be.
I would say
yeah.
that's probably one. I'm going to go over here real
Yeah.
quick. Because
BJ Odom would be working at the fairgrounds in Indiana.
No, in all honesty, I think
Bill
I know
would
what
be
I
working at
doing.
Bill would be working behind the counter at a computer counter at Best Buy somewhere in Cleveland.
Oh, why isn't it on here? Maybe because I
Uh-oh.
just listened to it today. Now it's not going to show it to me.
Podcast Playground.
Well, no, I mean, I was on, because I actually listen usually on
Uh-huh.
Apple Podcast.
Uh-huh.
So it's not showing the podcast
Oh, okay.
of Zito's, but I listen to that quite regularly.
Cool. I'll have to tune it. So many good things out there on the Podcast Playground, and so many very cool podcasts out there. Not just on the Podcast Playground. That's where you should be, of course. But it's unbelievable how much good stuff is out there. Unbelievable. I can't consume all the podcasts that I want to. There's just so many good ones.
I'm getting that way. Who needs
Yeah.
radio anymore?
Who needs radio? Who needs them? Don't say that. You're still. Oh no, you're not still on the air with those
No,
guys.
I'm
Never
not.
mind.
I kind of wish I was, but I'm not.
Well, somebody will call, the phone will ring, and you'll be back on the air somewhere.
I
BJ
don't
Odom
think
is
so.
available. By the way, BJ and Bill are available, ladies and gentlemen, for weddings, bar mitzvahs, and parties. So, and for morning shows anywhere, we are available for that kind of thing. Because now you could do it anywhere, right?
Yes.
I mean, as I listen to Sirius XM and all of that, the people that are doing the show, they're everywhere, and they're in their home studios. I'm listening to one guy in New England and one guy in New York City, and of course, Sirius has a studio at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland where they do a couple of shows from. So yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Now down the road from me,
Yes.
on 192 in Kissimmee, there's a place which they have many, but it's called Margaritaville. It's like a resort, which
Yes.
they have one that's being built in Southwest Florida right now, Margaritaville out on Fort Myers Beach.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
But they have this really neat little plaza next to Margaritaville,
Mhm.
kind of like, downtown Fort Myers Beach was before the hurricane came.
Right.
And there is a studio that is there where now it's really weird. You can see the boards, you can see the equipment, and every now and again you walk by there and you actually see a person. But it is the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville channel for Sirius XM radio.
Oh.
And so every once in a while you can catch one of the, maybe they're different locations. I don't know.
Huh.
But every once in a while you can catch a DJ inside that little studio and you can see him broadcasting.
Have you been to Sumter Landing at the Villages? I mean,
they had their own radio station.
They have a radio station there in a little shack, not a shack. I mean, in a nice little building that's right on the lake, that's right behind the gazebo, the big pavilion where they get. I was there with a friend last weekend, and we went and saw a movie, and a movie review coming, by the way, we went and saw a movie. We walked around. We had dinner at RJ Gators right there on the waterfront at Lake Sumter. And then we walked by the radio station. There was nobody running it, but I mean, I think it was on automation at the time because it was, they have a speaker outside. You could still hear it and all that. So yeah, I kind of wistfully looked inside and went, oh, that's nice. I could do that. Sure. And God knows I'm old enough now for the Villages. So there you go. All good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's not there any longer. And I think she sold she sold the station. So the frequency is somewhere else.
Right.
But Dolly Parton had a radio station at Dollywood.
Oh.
And that was really cool because the studio was inside the park.
Right.
And they had a couple microphones, like you always have, like if you are in a location like that, sometimes you have like the big plate glass window where people can look in and see you broadcast.
Sure.
Well, outside the plate glass windows, it had two little microphones. I mean, it had microphones set up. And every once in a while you'd be listening and you could maybe walk by and be looking in and you'd go, oh, we have some visitors here. Hello there. What's your name? And where are you from?
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, every once in a while they just talk to people that were, walking by, looking inside. They actually talked to me one time.
That's so cool.
The frequency is it was called 105. Well, it's 105.5, 105.5, and it was called Dolly Radio, I think, at the time.
Of course.
It was WDLY, but it has since somebody else bought it. And I think now, because I have a friend that lives in Sevierville, and I think that station now is like an oldies station. Some company bought it, and it's
there you go.
Now an oldies station.
There's another opportunity for you.
2 years ago, the last time I talked to him about it.
There's another opportunity for BJ Odom to go to work. I don't know about Sevierville, where no, I don't think so, but that's okay. That's okay. So awesome.
So before we started the podcast, because we are doing it in the evening.
Yes.
You told me you just got off work.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to talk about this, but it sounds like it's a little radio story going on inside Domino's Pizza in Gainesville.
Kind of is. I mean, I was, as I, told you that There were a couple of weeks there where I was, broadcasting from an undisclosed location. Okay, it was Blue Ridge, Georgia. While I was dog and cabin sitting for our friend Vicky and Rick Wagner. And I was gone for 2 full weeks. And when I got back, I went into work the next morning like I was supposed to and scheduled to. And it's like when you would walk into a radio station, any radio person knows this. And it's like, there's been a change of management. There's been a change of format or something, because they fired the boss. They brought in at my Domino's, I'm talking now. They fired the general manager. They brought in a new one who was an assistant manager at another store in Gainesville. He came in, and I think he's kind of cleaning house a little bit with management. I know he is with how things get done. So if ever there was a case, now this is, if you're in radio, BJ and I know this so well, that when the boss comes to you and says, we're going in a different direction, that's his nice way of saying you're fired and you're out of here and we're bringing in somebody else. So yeah, Domino's, we're still making pizza. We're still making pizza. That doesn't change. We are still making and delivering pizza and all the other goodies that go along with our full menu, Domino's menu. So, good on us there. We're not messing that up. But boy, behind the scenes, it's like, wow, everything's changed and different. And now we got to do it this way. And now we got this happening. And now it's just.
Now you'd think, though.
I'm too old for this. I really am.
With a Domino's pizza.
Yes.
It looks like there would already be a book that says, this is the way we do this. This is the way we do that.
And there is, well said, BJ Odom, there are a whole set of procedures on how to do things. And I believe, and now, again, I'm no expert. I mean, I've been there for 3 or 4 months, something like that. But as I hear it, as I talk to the new boss and all that, yes, all of that stuff is written out, spelled out, how to do this, how to, we weren't doing any of it.
Oh, so maybe that's why. So
we were kind of, we were the black sheep of the Gainesville of the franchise. And the owner, the franchisee that owns our store owns, I think or is the franchise, you don't own it, you're the franchise, has about 25 stores between Gainesville, Ocala, Tampa. And so we, in fact, just today, a couple of the really big people were in to talk important talk with the new manager and all of that stuff. So anyway, as I found out, this of all of the stores in the chain of this franchisee, we were, you guessed it, dead last in all the numbers. So anyway, heads have rolled.
Now, I don't mean to demean your job.
Oh, there's no way you could do that. So
and I hope you don't take it this way.
You're fine.
But I would be thinking as a delivery person.
Yes.
Unless you were doing something, you were screwing things up.
Right.
I would think you would be one of the last people fired in a in a revamping situation.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't like the morning show on Oldies 95 or any other thing. This is like when BJ and Bill were the faces and voices of the radio station. No, I'm a driver. I drive pizza, I deliver it to your door, I smile and say thanks when you hand me a tip. And other than that, no, because believe me, and I'm sure if you go to any pizza delivery, it's not just Domino's. If you go to Marco's or 5 Star or whatever, you go to any pizza delivery joint that you can drive by wherever you are on planet Earth, I guarantee you they have a help wanted sign out. Because you tell me, BJ, what the hell is going on in the world today that nobody wants to work? Nobody wants to work.
Well, I think what it is too, it's I hate to use this, the younger generation.
The younger generation.
They're thinking they should get out and get a job that pays them like $100,000 a year.
Yep.
And when it doesn't, why would I want to take that job delivering pizza that only pays X amount of dollars?
Right.
Well, maybe you might want to take that because you don't have another job, you ignorant.
Let's rile BJ up on this one a little bit more. Yes, Mr. Odom, I'm sure you're right. And young people everywhere will love to hear the fact of a couple of old codgers telling them that they should get their butts out of the chair and get a job.
Yeah.
Just like
Put
your
down
dad.
usually it's used to say put down the remote control for the television. Now it's
Right.
put down the controller and quit playing your God blessed game 24/7 with Louie down the road that you don't even know in a city 10,000 miles away. But you're going to play this game until you can't stay awake any longer.
That's it. Until the cows come home or whatever cows do. Yes. I just, what I don't understand is, are all these kids living in mom and dad's basement? Because you kind of have to pay rent.
Well, not if you're staying with mom and dad.
Right. Oh my God. Now here we are, a couple of old codgers going, what is this world coming to? What about these kids? Hey, you get off my lawn. Sorry, whatever. I don't have a lawn, so I don't know. Oh my God. We've gotten to be that old. Oh my God. It's happened.
But, when we were kids.
Oh my God, here it comes. When we were kids, here it comes.
Correct me if I am wrong. When we got to be 16, 17 years old, we were going to delivering pizza. We were going to flipping burgers. We were going to clean the tables and be the bus boys. We were doing all these jobs.
We were.
Because, we wanted some gasoline for our car.
We wanted a car.
Or we wanted to buy the car.
We wanted to buy the car.
The sad thing is,
yes,
mom and dad buy them the car, give them the gas card.
Yep.
Why do they need to go to work?
Yep. You are totally right. And this is nothing new. This is absolutely positively nothing new. The fact that BJ and Bill are ranting about it, maybe that's new. But yeah, now, because we're too old for that, so we wouldn't have the kids that are getting the cars and all that stuff. Your son has what's he doing for his kid? I'll bet he's whipping them into shape and getting them to work too, though, right? I kind of have that feeling.
Believe it or not.
Don't tell me he bought somebody a car.
Well, I don't know if he bought it or helped him buy it. I think he helped him buy it.
Okay.
And now he has, not he, but, the son has payments.
Okay.
Now, I will say this, and I hope he's not listening, but he already knows what I'm about to say is true.
Who's that, your son?
Yeah.
Okay.
His daughter, all he's got to do is go, Daddy, Daddy, I need a new dress for the dance.
How old is your granddaughter?
She's just getting ready she's got her permit. She'll be getting a license soon.
Oh,
then it'll
boy.
probably be, Daddy, can you get me a car?
And I if I hear this right, I have this feeling that Daddy is wrapped around her little finger.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And let me ask you this. If it's not Daddy, is it Grandpa?
No, because Grandpa's a tightwad.
Grandpa's a tightwad. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. I hear you.
And now, when she was younger, though, if she wanted to do, when they're younger, you can kind of afford stuff. As people get older, and even us, your toys and your things you want get more expensive.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So when she was like in, grade school.
Sure.
Gramps would pick her up after school and I want a snack.
Sure.
Take her, we'd get a snack.
Sure.
We'd hang out together. All that stuff.
Easy.
Dairy
Queen drive-through.
Yeah.
Easy. Sure.
Now it's, I need my nails done. It's only like $100 to get your nails done nowadays.
You're asking the wrong guy, but yeah, I'm sure
you're asking the wrong guy too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We're not on a wild guess there.
Yeah. So anyway, what you're saying is, as they grow up, which no surprise because it did for us too, everything gets more expensive. The toys and the needs and the get more expensive. Yes, yes. New dress for the prom, whatever, probably a couple of $100 there. Sure.
Of course, I remember when my kids were young, I did quite a bit for them. And I mean, I would say my daughter has her, even she's in her 30s now.
Mhm.
And my wife will probably say, yes, that's true. I don't know, something about when you have a girl, daddy's little girl,
Right.
they usually know how to manipulate you and have you so wrapped around their finger.
Could we get your daughter on the show and really dive deep into this particular topic?
She go, I don't want to be on your podcast.
Yeah, do with those two old guys. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
no.
Oh my God. It's like going into a Denny's or something like that. It's just
I could talk about her on every podcast. I'd never get in
She'd
trouble.
never know.
I don't think she
Yeah.
ever listens.
That's okay. So I
Now,
love
listen to this.
Uh-oh.
And this is very sad. This is very, very sad.
Nobody can see this, but you don't have a sad look on your face. So give us the gag. Go ahead.
So when I worked at the station here locally in Central
Right.
Florida,
Right.
WPCV, 97.5,
Okay.
she listened a couple times, but she likes country music and it was a country music station,
Okay.
but still she liked the morning show on the country station out of Orlando because they
Oh.
did, date update and all this other thing.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Oh, so I don't listen to that station. I listen to this. Well, I'm on this station. You should be listening to this. And then one time she was dating a guy up here and she said, oh, he likes country music. I go, well, did you tell him I work at the station? I'm not going to tell him you work at the station.
Ah! Wow.
I know.
That's cold.
And he even lived in the same town, Lakeland, where the radio station, had their studios and everything. And so you would think she would at least said, well, my dad works at the station, in Lakeland, at the country station.
Hello.
I think I'm going to disown my daughter. I'm not getting her anything the rest of her life.
That is cold. I mean, that is just downright cold that your own daughter won't even plug her own dad on the radio. Wow.
I was good. Why would I tell him that?
Well, because it's your father and it's his job. Well, I don't
Thank
know
you.
that. Yeah, I know. I
But-
hear it. I don't know. I've got no answers. I don't have any kids, so I can't help you. I'm useless on that. I'm totally useless.
Like they say, when you have kids, they're great and you love them and you couldn't do without them.
Of course.
But I'll tell you, when you really think about in the back of your mind, if you don't have kids, you got to have a whole hell of a lot more money. You've got to have a whole hell of a lot more freedom.
And at least one of those is true. I don't have a ton of money to my name at the moment, but that's okay. It's not like, I got no problems. I'm not worried about it. But yes, I get it. I do. I have no regrets about not having kids. And I have a not young, but I mean, they're late 20s, a niece and a nephew in California. So if I need to talk to young kids or something, that also share my name, then okay, fine. I can get them on the phone if I need to, but it's to me, it's just not a big deal. And I guess, I don't know if do you have that family urge? Do you have that DNA that's like, I need to be a father or a mother or start a family or something like that? I guess I never had that. And I guess my ex and we actually, we were married for a long time and we could have had kids if we wanted to, but we made that conscious decision to not have children. And as far as I know, she's still good with that decision. We've never, I still talk to her now and then. It's not like there's been any regrets about not having the kids. So just wasn't for me. Not a big deal.
Well, you may not have any kids that you know of.
Oh, sure. I have no kids, BJ Odom. None. The hardware on this model was pruned in a way that prevents any children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. None for me, thanks. No.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the day I get a knock on the door from somebody who's about,
I was
47, 45 years old, 46.
Something you'd like to admit to right here on the show today, perhaps?
Well, I'm saying before I was married the first time and before I was married the second time, there is a little bit of lack time.
There's a window of opportunity in there.
Let's just say the boy went wild. I've heard that too. That could be a whole, conversation, but
sure.
Once you get a divorce, it seems like, and I think there's even a name for it, you're everywhere you can be.
Let's take a break and I'll come back and tell you my story. What's that?
Yeah. See, I didn't want my first divorce.
Right.
And so after that was over with, I guess, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I had girlfriends and I'd had, but I didn't have I didn't ever hit home plate. Let's just say that.
So there were girlfriends, but none of them.
Let's just say I homered with my first wife.
You homered. Good. I mean, it's your wife. Hello.
Yeah. But, and then I didn't right after the divorce, I didn't really homer very much because, I thought, well, maybe we can get back together. But then all of a sudden I swung the bat and I said, I'm going to keep swinging.
Before this conversation goes completely off the rails, we'll take a quick break. Go get yourself another cup of coffee or whatever it is. At this point, I'm thinking bourbon might be something good. And we'll be back in just a few seconds. Welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom. This is BJ and Bill, the adult-oriented podcast. If you would like to get in touch, please do. We would love to hear from you with any and all stories or review or whatever you would like to share. You can find us at Facebook, of course. We have our very own page, BJ and Bill Podcast, and AND, BJ and Bill Podcast. Or you can email us directly, bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com.
Now, the reason we switched our podcast to be an evening podcast, we had a guest who was scheduled to appear.
Yes.
And his job called him in for an emergency duty where he had to work.
Right.
So
right.
He was unable to be with us. And he would have made such a good guest, especially today, especially this week.
And why is that, Mr. Odom?
I'll just give away the guy who was going to be the guest today. And he is the voice, the public address voice of the Everblades,
the Florida Everblades,
our team that we followed playing hockey in the ECHL.
Yes.
And we were in Southwest Florida.
Yes.
And they won the Kelly Cup.
Yay.
And so I figured, the Kelly Cup, that's like their Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup. That's
I guess they know a guy named Kelly instead.
Yeah.
Maybe he never made it to the the NHL. Kelly never made it. So
he was Lord Stanley's great lost nephew, Kelly. But
they won the cup. So congratulations to him.
That's terrific. Way to go, Everblades.
And I wanted to ask him this question because they won last year too. So they did a repeat.
It's a repeat. Wow.
Yeah. So this is 2 years in a row. And right. I believe, but maybe I'm wrong because I asked somebody else and they don't work with the Everblades. And I don't know how long they've been a fan, but they thought this was cup number 3. And for some reason, I think it's at least cup number 4, because I think while I was still living in Fort Myers, they won 2 cups.
I'm sure there was one when you and I were down there. And I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I mean, I'm sure we could look that up, right? I'm sure you could check Is it still the ECHL, East Coast Hockey League?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's still called the ECHL, but they got teams all over anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they even got a couple or at least one in Canada now.
Wow. Hey, did you see somebody posted that on Facebook and it was hilarious. When the Stanley Cup playoffs were just starting. And of course, Florida Panthers, they're on the ropes too, but never mind. And it said number of, wait a minute. Number of times Florida hockey teams have appeared in the Stanley Cup finals in the last 10 years. And it's like 4 or 5 because, the Tampa Bay won it 3 times. And here, whatchamacallit, the Panthers are in it now or whatever. So it's like number of times Florida hockey teams have been in, and that's all 2 of them, have been in the, Stanley Cup 4 times. Number of times all Canadian teams have been in the Stanley Cup finals in the last 10 years. 0.
That's kind of become
Florida is kicking butt when it comes. Canada, that's like their thing. I mean, how can they let that happen? That's got to be embarrassing.
I think though a lot of the Canadian players are now playing, that's why they always sing. Now, if you go to an NHL game, you're going to hear the Canadian national anthem followed by
the
American national anthem.
Even if there's not a Canadian team playing? No.
Right.
No, they would. Yeah. Only if there's a Canadian team playing.
No.
And then they'll do the Canadian.
Every
no,
game.
Really?
Yeah.
Every game, the Canadian national anthem, whether there's a Canadian team playing or not.
I'm like 99. Again, BJ Odom has known to be wrong. But as I'm thinking in the back of my head and
Really?
the games I've seen and the games I've watched on TV.
Right.
You get both. And I think they might have even done that in the ECHL. I can't remember though.
Huh. Well, we know there's a ton of Canadian players, obviously. So it's probably safe to assume that no matter what team you're watching, there's probably a Canadian or 2 playing for that team. Probably.
Yes.
Probably a Russian or 2. Because that's all, they're like Dabrowski and all of these guys, they're all Russian.
That's another thing I wanted to ask Dave Alexander if he would have been our guest tonight. Right. How much prep he has to do to say some of those names.
And I don't know that you had said the name of the guest earlier, did you? Because you just said now Dave Alexander.
I just said he was the
right. So Dave Alexander was, as we used to say in the business, scheduled to appear, but got called away by his job. But we'll have him soon, maybe next week, who knows? And he was yet another longtime, forever radio guy in Fort Myers who never left and found himself greener pastures.
Now, you know what? And I could be wrong on this. He may have even been in Florida as long, at least on radio, long or longer than you. Because, I know you were at Super Q.
Yep.
And that's kind of like Super Q when it first came to Southwest Florida. AM radio was kind of on the way out, and the top 40 stations and the rock stations were going to FM.
Yep.
He was an announcer at WMYR, where if you were like older than BJ and Bill, or at least, lived there as, a young person and is our age now, that used to be the big top 40 station that all the kids in Southwest Florida listened to, before the FM stations came to town. It was WMYR.
WMYR.
At 1410, I believe, on the AM dial.
I think so. And I think you're right. I didn't meet him until obviously later than I was in, but I got there 81, 82. So
I got there about the same time you did, but I worked in Naples, as I've stated. And then I went to work at Wink. And when I went to work at Wink, the program director, Ben Sensing, got very sick and was on a transplant list like me, a heart transplant, just never made it, unfortunately, to the operation. But when he got real sick, because he was doing afternoons and I went there doing evenings, they moved me down to afternoons, and Dave came in. But prior to that, he was working at WMYR.
Right.
So
I remember. Yeah, I remember him. I absolutely remember him mornings on Wink FM and probably on MYR, maybe just to have heard it or something. But yeah.
yeah, so probably when you were at Super Q, he was
Yep.
at MYR. And then of course,
Yep.
I don't know what age he moved to Florida, but he was also a Port Charlotte boy. I think he went to Port Charlotte. He graduated, I think, from Port Charlotte.
Port Charlotte High School. Wow. Probably like a graduating class of what, 6 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. 76, 78,
people.
somewhere in there.
No, I was thinking the size of the class, 6 or 8 people. I don't know. Port Charlotte in the mid 70s. Port Charlotte in the mid 70s. Was there anything there? Well, there was something there, but not much. So yeah, that
has some good questions.
I always. All right. What was there?
Yeah.
Well, we can
I was
ask
going to
him
say, I
when
had
we
some
get him
good
on the
questions
show.
for him.
We'll ask him when we get him on the show. Absolutely.
And then another guest that's not scheduled to appear yet, but kind of excited to hear about his journeys. Our good friend, Manager Bill. He is in Spain. Oh, actually, he's in France now, and he was at the Eiffel Tower. I just saw a picture on Facebook with him at the Eiffel Tower.
He and I, wait a minute now. I may have to have some words with it. He and I are not friends on Facebook. What's up with that?
Way to go, Bill Stevens.
I mean, I was only like best buddies with best buddies. I was only like good friends with the guy for 100 years, like you, like, you know, everybody. But well, that's cool. Good for. I'll have to look him up. I'll have to find his. I'll have to find his. Whatchamacallit. Yeah, that's awesome. That's
because
awesome.
I did send him a little message, and he did give it. Because a lot of these people that I know that's still in radio or in the business or whatever,
right?
They're on Facebook. I know them from Facebook.
That's because all the old people hang out on Facebook, PJ. You know that, right? Nobody.
They're not on the gram.
Nobody under the age of 45 is on Facebook. Just saying.
But a lot of people don't use the instant messenger on Facebook.
No.
And so a lot of these people I try to get a hold of on instant messenger, and then they either never get back to me, or if they do get back to me, it's like 3 or 4 days later. So I don't know, man, being the man who's trying to, get some guests on this show, it's driving me crazy.
It's tough. I hear you. So do you think we could get Manager Bill on the show?
Yeah, he actually got back to me.
How old?
I said, hey, when you get back.
Right.
Oh, I think I actually put that on one of his Facebook posts that he was in Barcelona. What's it called? Spain?
Marseille.
Well, whatever it was, he was in Spain.
Spain. No, that's France. Marseille is in France.
Yeah.
I don't know. Spain.
Barcelona. Yeah, that's where it was.
Barcelona.
And so I said, hey,
Geography
we're
by
going to get
BJ
you a
and
guest
Bill.
on the show.
Yes.
When we get back. And when you get back, he goes, for sure.
For sure. What is he like? Got to be 100 years old? No, he's not. He was not that much older than we were, was he?
He's probably about my age.
Yeah, I guess. And I mean, other than traveling the world, which sounds super cool, he can't still be working for Mel's Diner.
I think he's still involved.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think he's the manager. I think he maybe handles some of the, I don't know. I know he does some catering.
Yeah.
And now another voice from the past. And I know that he was living with Manager Bill at the time that he passed. I don't know if you ever worked with him, but I had an opportunity to work with him more than once. Super Dave Logan was actually living with Manager Bill.
Really?
When he passed. It was about a year or two ago that.
Yeah, I knew him, but I never worked with him. No.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I had a lot of fun with him. And I'll just tell you a little Dave story, if you don't mind. This is Dave Logan we're talking about.
I'm listening.
So when I first went to work at Gator Country, Cat Country, of course, was the big country station in Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. It wasn't Gator Country when I first went on the air.
Right.
So we went out to the Lee Civic Center. There's a Wayback Machine.
Yeah, Lee Civic Center.
Yeah, that's where the concerts were long before, the Everblades Arena ever was even probably
I could tell you some of the acts I saw there, and oh my God. But yes, anyway, Lee Civic Center.
So it was Reba McEntire.
Wow.
And in the business, they called it present rights. You have the present rights of the concert, which means you're
Right.
kind of like giving away the ticket. You're like the main station.
Right.
So they had their balloon and their van and their trailer right up there by the main door. Well, we didn't have present rights because we were just little Gator country who just went on the air a few months before the Reba McEntire concert.
Right.
They said, well, you can come out. Or no, wait, I don't think they said we could come out. I think that's probably the right thing. They didn't even say we could come out. So we came out. Now they're inside the gate, though. I mean, you had to go through
Yeah.
the little turnstiles
Yeah.
out front by the parking lots.
Of course.
We had our van out there. We brought our little van out there. And, we also had tickets from the record company so we could go in and out. And so we have our music blasting out there. We've got, T-shirts we're handing out. Dave Logan at the time was the PR guy, the guy that, was in charge of concerts and, promotions and everything.
Right.
He out there, he goes, you guys don't have the presents rights. You can't be here. You can't be. So I got into a little match with him and started being a little smart butt and had no idea who Dave Logan was at the time. And now I forget her name, but the lady who ran the Lee Civic Center.
Oh,
and I am a Facebook friend with her, and I see her once in a while.
Yeah, I would never,
Glenda, that was the name. Glenda.
I would never know the name. Glenda the good.
Glenda was in
witch.
charge
I would
out
never know
there.
who you're talking about. It
And
wouldn't
so
matter.
she finally came out there because they had a stink. We weren't supposed to be there. They had the rights to be there. We didn't.
Right.
And they told us that we needed to move our van. And I go, we got tickets. This is public. And I got in a big fight with Dave. And everybody's like yelling and screaming. And she's telling us we got to move our van.
Wow.
And they were ready to call the cops on me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was about that close from probably going to the folks. She goes, if you don't move the van and you take down your speakers, I'm calling the police. Well, finally, push come to shove, we decided, well, let's be nice.
Let's
people,
not
maybe.
get arrested tonight.
Yeah, and maybe we can come out here next time.
Let's not get
So over the years, I did become very good friends with Dave, became very good friends with Glenda out at the Lee Civic Center. So, it was a beautiful thing, but that was that first meeting between me and Dave Logan did not go well.
That's awesome.
And I think too, if you remember that big cat balloon they had, I think that's what got me in the most trouble. I think I tried to go in there and let the air out of the cat balloon.
And deflate the big cat.
But back in those days, radio was kind of like that.
Yes. Oh yeah, it was. It was friendly and sometimes not so friendly competition. And
Yeah.
it was fun. It was, what can we do to show them up? What are they doing to show us up?
Yeah, we would always if they had a remote broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh, we were good at that too. We'd take our van across the street, not even be doing a remote. And we would turn the speakers on and crank it up. And I remember when we were doing that off and on, and one time, now this is back in the day though, that, no, wait, yeah. Oh, that was that's before I worked for Clear Channel. Cat Country was in the new, I don't know what it was, but they went across from our building and was playing music one day. I guess they thought that would upset us. I don't know.
Those were I hate to sound like an old guy, but those were the days. That was interesting and fun and competitive in a good way. And in a good way, in a real way. There was money to be made by being number one, or to be, in a certain demographic or whatever, to have good numbers, good ratings. And that was, it was worth the fight. Let's put it that way.
And Paul Orr came to town as the program director for Gator Country.
Right.
And he liked being the renegade boy. That's for sure, man.
I love that.
That's when Renegade Radio was popular. That's back in the day too. And if you've been from Florida, and I know you probably know if you know anything about radio or follow radio at all, it was the big thing between Q105 and the Power Pig.
Oh,
when
in
the
Tampa.
Power Pig first came to town
In Tampa Bay.
in Tampa. I mean, the Power Pig did everything in their power to get under Q105 skin. That was kind of the same thing when Gator Country first came to town,
right.
and Cat Country was the big dog.
Right.
We did everything we could to irritate them.
And it worked.
Yep.
It worked.
Yeah, because now if you look
That's
at the ratings in Southwest Florida, Gator's right up there at the top, and Cat's a little down below that.
Yeah.
Now they are the little kittens, and Gator's the big dog.
The underdog or the under cat, as the story might go. Absolutely. Yeah. That's and go ahead.
I was just going to say, now that we're talking about, like Cat Country and where we were, Oldies 95.
Yeah.
Remember that big building where they had the sales pit? It's still in existence.
You mean the building where the
Shack.
studio was?
They're on Metro Parkway.
That was the best radio studio I've ever worked at.
Now, how do they say that in the news business? From an unnamed source,
Undisclosed location, unnamed
and not
source,
not
whatever.
confirmed.
Person, yeah,
Not confirmed.
a person close to the story, or a person, yes, an unnamed, yes,
an unnamed person who actually still works there.
In
that same building that BJ and Bill worked at for so many years.
Yep.
The BJ and Bill show. You had they called it the dugout or whatever, where all the salespeople sat down below there.
Yep.
I'm gonna, you know what? I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or not, but I'm letting the cat out of the bag.
The cat.
Speaking of Cat Country,
or the gator out of the bag.
Yeah. Well, the gator's not in the same building, but
no,
Cat Country is.
Cat is.
And so this is what I've been told by a reliable source, not confirmed by me. I've never been in the building in the last 3 months, but the air conditioning has been broke.
Oh, you're kidding.
And so like the little studios.
Oh my God, that would be a sauna.
They have like these little air conditioners that they brought in for the studios.
Oh, wow.
And the production room.
Oh, wow.
But everybody works remotely down in the sales pit. That big old sales pit where there were lots of like dozens of desks.
Right.
That they say has not had air conditioning for like 3 months. And they said, when you go in that building, it stinks.
I'll bet it does. Hello, everybody. I mean, so for those who don't know, and you have no reason to know, when BJ and Bill were when we were King of the Mountain at Oldies 95, we were in a building on Metro Parkway just north of Daniels. And I mean, literally 5 minutes from where I lived, that our boss, the guy, the program director that we worked for, he was like a specialist with that kind of thing. He would come into the new town, to the new market, take over, rebuild the whole place, rebuild the format, the studio, the whatever. He found this building, and I remember he and I walking through that building together when it was literally a warehouse, it was a gigantic warehouse, and half of it was like a refrigerated warehouse or something like that.
Yeah, an ice company or something.
An ice company. Yeah, literally. They divided the building in half, and then they built our studios in the front half of the building, but they left it open, 2 stories open, and they put a catwalk around the outside edge of it. So all the studios were upstairs on this catwalk. It was beautiful. I mean, it was really beautiful engineering, beautiful building to walk through. I mean, I remember the boss, who was the GM of the whole thing, or the vice, I forget his name.
Keating was the GM, and Jim Radford was our boss.
But I remember how they would love to bring people in to show it off. So like, oh, we're going to have a sales meeting, we're bringing in some clients, and they would show that building off, and it had the wow factor. You walked into that building, you went, wow. And it was all that. It really was. So anyway, to think of that big, gorgeous building without air conditioning in June in Fort Myers, Florida, OMG, stinky sauna.
Now, the rumor from the same sources also told me,
yes,
they're looking for a smaller space, and they're going to get rid of that building.
I believe it, because I don't think they've had people
more than 2 or 3 salespeople down that sales bid. Everybody works from home or they go out,
Nowadays, with Zoom meetings, they probably do all their sales meetings on Zoom, and they probably have their, sad, but true. Sad, but true. And I mean, that's not unusual. I watch a lot of the financial news. I don't watch real news anymore, but I'm still interested in the financial stuff. And everybody is saying that come before the end of this year, the stuff is going to hit the fan, because it's not so much homeowners that are in trouble with their mortgages, but all of these commercial building owners where everybody went home and everybody worked from home and everybody is still working from home. And all of these giant skyscrapers in like the high-tech places like San Francisco and LA and New York, those buildings are empty. And people are having to pay mortgages for empty buildings that they are getting no use. And it's just, so anyway, I don't want to make it a show about doom and gloom, but apparently there's some big time financial problems coming. Gosh, what a surprise. Boy, the BJ and Bill podcast has been all over the map today, haven't we? All over the map.
Oh, well, how long have we went into this show now?
What do you mean how long? Well, it's 55 minutes. We're coming down to the end of it here now anyway. But yeah, we've covered, we've covered all of our podcast playground friends. We've covered BJ Odom's, sons and daughters and his in-between marital affairs. I was going to say extramarital affairs, but no, he wasn't married at the time, but in-between marital affairs and stuff like that. And
they weren't, I guess though, if you say in between marriages, they weren't affairs because it wasn't like they were married either.
Oh, well, I suppose not. It was just kind of dating, huh? Which
it was, it was.
But
dating,
that makes it sound boring. Come on.
Put it this way, let's just say I hit some home runs.
You hit some
that time. in a few different parks.
You hit some home runs in a few. And I keep thinking of the Meatloaf song. With the baseball with Phil Rizzuto of the New York of the Mets, calling the baseball. Oh, he's headed for home. Stop right there.
Will you get any farther
right now? Do you love me? Will you love me forever? Yeah. Whew. I am no Meatloaf. I am no singer, but that reminds me of the song. So BJ Odom made it to home plate a couple of times. God bless him.
Let's just say, a couple of times I made it to home.
Couple of times. Good for you, BJ.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, we'll just say a couple.
Not. Let's not go crazy here, folks. Couple of times. Oh man, we have got to calm down here and bring in a guest that's going to talk normal to people and all of that stuff rather than just
thank you, Dave Alexander, for not showing up.
Well, don't do that, because now we want him to show up still, and if you trash talk him now, he might just say screw you and not show up the next time.
I'm just saying though, if it wasn't for him bailing, we would have probably had a nice clean show. That's what we would have had. But without him, no home runs.
We had to get down and dirty without him. All right, so there you go. All right, fine. Well, there you go. All right, that'll do it. Wow. All right, BJ Odom.
So my next podcast, we will have an NBA championship. Who do you think it'll be?
It will be Denver. The only question is, does it end in 5 or does it take more? I don't know. The only team to come back being down 1-3 was who, BJ Odom?
I think it was the Lakers, wasn't it? Oh, the Cavaliers. Yeah, that's when LeBron
James and the Cleveland Cavaliers against your Warriors and Steph Curry.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
I know you do. I was at a friend's house in New York, upstate New York, and a whole bunch of other people were in a different room. And I said, I'm sorry, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch, this could be it. I gotta watch this. And I am cheering and screaming and shouting at the TV, and people keep poking their head and going, you okay? You all right? I'm like, yes, I'm great. So anyway.
Wasn't that a buzzer beater too, if I remember right? Or pretty
Not
close
in
to
the not in the
buzzer
game
beater.
7, but yeah, there was. Oh, it was a great series. So
Maybe-
anyway,
maybe game 6 was a buzzer beater. I can't remember.
perhaps
LeBron over in the corner and he hit one. I'm going. I'm not going to say what I said because we've said enough today.
because yeah, your Golden State Warriors took it. So anyway, so Miami Heat, good luck. Not the highest of hopes, but good luck. You could pull it out. You never know. So there you go.
It could happen.
It could happen. And of course, we've spent zero time talking about, the Florida Panthers, another Florida team involved in another championship. So, but they're not looking too strong either. I mean, they could be down. They could be out before, well, they will be out before the end of before the next podcast anyway. So
Now what's funny about that too, and just real quick, because
Sure.
earlier we mentioned that the Florida Everblades, which is Southwest Florida's ECHL team, won the Kelly Cup, which is like
yes,
equivalent to their Stanley Cup. That is also, because they've changed a couple of times, that is also their farm team. The Panthers farm team is
I
the
didn't know
Everblades
that.
now.
They're the farm team for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Wow. Because all the time I thought it was Carolina Hurricanes. I thought.
Well, it was while we were there, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Then it became Tampa Bay for a while.
Wow.
Then it was Tampa Bay and Florida.
Wow.
And now I don't know. It might still be Tampa Bay and Florida both. I don't know for sure.
We-
But I
we-
know they mentioned that. I heard them mention that somewhere along the line in something I was watching, sports or something.
We have come down to the end of the podcast for that little important hockey tidbit. So thank you for that, Mr. Odom. We appreciate it. All right. Next week, no promises.
Yep.
No promises at all. Literally anything could happen next week. You'd better be here to find out and check it out with us. That's all I got to say. That's
All
it.
right. I'm heading to watch the game and going to try to stay awake.
Oh, I am too. All right, everybody. Enjoy your week. Have a good one. Stay in touch. BJ and Bill Podcast on Facebook or BJ and Bill Podcast at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. But until then, it's just up to BJ to say,
See ya.